in contributing 25% to the country's GDP by mid-2021. In an exclusive interview with KTN's Abi Agina, the Kenya Association of Manufacturers, Phyllis Wakiaga, says the sector did suffer severely during the peak of the pandemic, with manufacturers counting losses.
2020 was seemingly not the best of years for not only Kenya but across the world, all linked to the coronavirus pandemic. From your assessment of 2020, how would you characterize the year that was? And is there some light at the end of the tunnel come this new year?
2020 was an unprecedented year. We all started off in January with great plans and great ambitions, and then the COVID pandemic struck globally, and definitely that led to impacts both in Kenya, in Africa and globally for trade, for business, for investment.
Sure.
What we saw at the beginning was at that time China was pretty much on lockdown, so there was a slowdown in importation of raw materials, and that did slow down production, and then we saw markets starting to close. So orders were cancelled in some sectors, and that was a challenge. What we did, though, with our members as an association is we were determined to remain optimistic through the year. So from very early on, in partnership with the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Enterprise Development, we were able to develop workplace protocols so that we keep Kenya moving. So we actually ran a campaign the whole year just to urge our members to keep Kenya moving.
Sure.
If you noticed, we didn't experience shortages in major commodities.
Correct.
Because we were able to get protocols in place at the workplace level, were able to organize for movement permits, and manufacturers were able to continue with production within the COVID protocols. We recognize, of course, that COVID is first a health challenge, and really our condolences to those who've either lost loved ones or anything, but we also realize that it eventually has a ripple effect on the economy and the social fabric. So one of the other things we did is work closely with our members in the textile and apparel sector to also innovate and locally produce the personal protective equipment. So this one was in partnership with the Equity Group Foundation, where we kicked into action, brought the sector players together. We partnered with different partners like Msingi, the Manufacture Africa program being run by the then DFID, and were able to train the manufacturers on the opportunities in this area.
Sure.
And we did see that local manufacturing happen locally.
Looking at support, I remember Alibaba founder and chairman Jack Ma, when the pandemic was at its peak, he did mention that the biggest thing that we should look out for is to survive and to be alive post the pandemic.
Yes.
But in equal measure, looking at the businesses in Kenya, and like you rightly put it, quite a number of the startups were really hard hit. Some companies might never come back. Some flourished during the pandemic, and they can only but smile all the way to the bank. And I just want to hear from you as KAM, what are some of the stories of resilience, some of the support you've been offering to businesses in these uncertain times?
Yes, 2020 was interesting because, as we said, first we had to deal with the health issues and the fact that we needed to put in place those support systems, and we did see the manufacturers come out and support as much as they could, donating water tanks and whatever they could.
Sure.
The other thing is, as I said, we're running the Keep Kenya Moving campaign, and with the protocols that we put in place with the support of the Ministry of Industry, and also the work they did to unlock any challenges in terms of movement of goods, really assisted the sector not to be as disrupted. There are certain countries where their manufacturing sector got very disrupted because they had curfews, people were not able to work at night, there were no protocols in place. But for that one, I really must say that CS, Betty Maina and her team supported to ensure that we have as little disruption as possible for what could continue to be done. The other thing is, as you mentioned, SMEs are probably the most hard hit by this pandemic because of the nature of the businesses, their size and everything. But we did see people pivot during the COVID pandemic. We saw SMEs come up with new innovative products.
Sure.
We saw SMEs get into new markets, especially using e-commerce. A lot of the SMEs were able to then use a route to market that would be even using your Instagram page, going into an e-commerce platform, setting up your page, and that saw them also go through the year significantly. Capacity building and training in different areas where we were looking at helping people on their cash flow and other issues that would help them navigate the year, and that was quite useful to the sector. Outlook for 2021, a year of recovery, a year of exploiting opportunities that have been identified and that exist, a year of supporting SMEs to recover and go through the pandemic, a year of looking for investment capital, and I think things like the credit guarantee scheme will come in handy for SMEs, but also the conversation we are having with the Capital Markets Authority and the Nairobi Securities Exchange. I think those are some of the things that give us room to say, how do we look at how we capitalize our businesses? Can we see more manufacturing firms starting to list at the stock exchange? Can the Inuka program support SMEs to be able to grow their businesses, build governance, and make strong institutions that can eventually be listed in the stock exchange? Okay. So I see a year of collaboration, and we remain optimistic despite the still uncertainty forward, and we are keen to drive the priority agenda for manufacturing, and also as we move into an election year to shape the dialogue around issue-based discussions that really transform the lives of our citizens, create opportunities for all, and address the issues that really plague us as a society.
Well, that's it for Business Today. Thank you very much for watching. My colleague Lofty Matambo tells me that